And then the most important topic, Adhikari Tattva, I want to cover it in short this week. That if you carefully read Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, you will see this recurring theme of a speaker speaking Srimad Bhagavatam to a listener. Can you, from your studies, guess how many times or what are the various instances of Srimad Bhagavatam being spoken in Canto 1 from by one person to another person? At least two we know. What are they?
Sukadev Goswami to
Yes,
Parikshit
Shukadev
Maharaj.
Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. Yes, one.
Sutiji and
Sutta.
Yes, yes,
Sanakadi.
Sutta and Shaunakadi rishis. Yes.
Sanakadi.
Then
Is Vidura and Maitri also starting in first canto, Prabhu, or is that later?
no, that is in third canto.
Narada to Vyas.
Narada to Vyasadev. Yes. When Vyasadev is confused, Narada Muni speaks Bhagavatam.
And then Vyasadev to Sukdev Goswami.
Yes, Vyasadev to Shukadev Goswami also. Any other examples of someone speaking spiritual knowledge to another person?
Not a Bhagavatam, but the yes.
Yeah, it not that part actually. Yes, that is also there, but specifically
Vidura, Dhritarashtra.
Dhritarashtra and Vidura can be taken as a side example, which will be helpful to bring a particular concept. Yes, there's one other person who heard the Narada Muni heard from the Bhaktivedantas. So these are some
Vidura and Buddhava, right?
That is later in the third canto.
Oh, third canto.
Yeah, so not right in the first canto. So all these instances of Shukadev Goswami speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, Sutta Goswami speaking to Shaunakadi rishis, Vyasadev speaking to and Narada Muni speaking to Vyasadev, Narada Muni hearing from the Bhaktivedantis, all these 5 or so iterations, it is all found right in the first canto. And why is it? Why is it that these things are again and again repeated, that someone listening, someone speaking? Because every time you see this particular iterations come, elaborate descriptions of the qualifications of the speaker and the qualifications of the listener will be given. If you had read the Canto 1 already, you will know in the first canto, first chapter, elaborate glorification of Sutta Goswami is given. Why is he qualified to speak? And again, when Narada Muni listens it from Bhaktivedantis, elaborate qualification of Narada Muni, how he was, even though he was very young, he was not frivolous, he was so focused and he was so humble and he was serving. All the qualities of Narada Muni will be described. And then qualities of Shukadev Goswami, how detached he was right from his birth, that will be described. Parikshit Maharaj's qualities, oh my God, it's chapter after chapter after chapter of his qualifications, why he became qualified to be that person in the history of the main receiver of Srimad Bhagavatam. And as someone else said, that the discussion between Vidura and Dhritarashtra brings out this thing, that how, because of the disqualification of Dhritarashtra, that Vidura could not speak Bhagavatam to Dhritarashtra. The Vidura came all the way after hearing Bhagavatam from Maitreya Muni, from the bank of Yamuna to the bank of Ganges, to meet Dhritarashtra. However, he did not speak the same knowledge that he received from Maitreya Muni, which is Srimad Bhagavatam actually. However, he did not speak that to Dhritarashtra because Dhritarashtra's heart was so polluted by his offenses towards the devotees that he was not qualified to hear, and his heart was not fertile enough to listen to it. So Vidura had to adjust and speak about Ashtanga Yoga, and had to convince him that at least give up this material life. It's not worth living like a dog, living off the remnants fed by Bhima, whom you wanted to kill once. This is totally a wretched life. Don't live like this. Get out of this home and practice some kind of renunciation and inch towards liberation in some way. And to the credit of Dhritarashtra, he accepts it and goes to this place called as Saptashrota and leaves his body and achieves actually liberation. So, but he was not qualified for devotion because of his offenses. However, all the other listeners, they were all qualified because they were humble, they were eager, they were not offensive. So that is the reason they were favorable. So that is why they could hear Bhagavatam. And also the speakers, how qualified they were. Shukadeva Goswami, Vyasadeva, Narada Muni, and Sutta Goswami. However, again, this is another layer that we need to focus, that each of these combination of speakers and listeners, they have different kinds of qualifications. Am I overwhelming you guys? Is it confusing? Any clarifications needed?
Only one, Prabhu. So you mentioned that Vyasadeva spoke it to Shukadeva Goswami, right?
Yes.
So is that the first version then? When first spoken from these three sets of
Yeah,
speakers?
after he heard from Narada Muni, that is the first instance. After he, in his own meditation, saw Bhagavatam, he first spoke to Shukadeva. That is one of the first versions, you could say. Okay. Coming back to this qualifications, within the Bhagavatam Canto 1, if you see, the first pair that converses is Sutta Goswami and Shaunaka Rishis. And then will come Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. In between will be Vyasadeva and Shukadeva Goswami. So let's stick to few of these pairs of listener and hearer. If you see the immediate pair of speakers and listeners, Sutta Goswami and Shaunaka Rishis, here the listeners are off in a beginner stage, because Shaunaka Rishis are considered inquisitive and they do have some amount of material desires. Their heart is not fully purified. So if you see the first chapter, the qualification of the rishis are not so much spoken about. It is just the qualification of the speaker is mentioned, because in the initial stage, the listener does not have much qualification. So if you go behind the qualification of this listener, then there is no hope. So in that case, in the beginning stages, the speaker has to be a qualified speaker. Of course, you are all unfortunate, but this is the best you have got. However, that is why it becomes better that when we hear from very advanced devotees that Srimad Bhagavatam, it immediately churns something in our heart. So that is why it is very important that we go into a huge assembly of devotees and we hear from very advanced devotees in holy places, because we want as much as external qualification as possible, because we lack it. So we can compensate it by going into the Dham, hearing it from a very advanced devotee in the association of hundreds of devotees. So all of that will help us create an impression of the bhakti in our hearts, because we ourselves don't have any qualification. So that is why if you see, the chapter 1 does not go into the details of the qualification of the listener at all. It only speaks about the qualification of the speaker. However, when it comes to the stage of Vyasa listening from, Vyasadeva listening from Narada Muni, there Narada Muni will actually chastise Vyasadeva. Despite knowing everything, what kind of a nonsense you are, you didn't speak about bhakti very clearly. So he chastises him upfront, because here the qualification is higher. Vyasadeva is already qualified, so the spiritual master is tough. Hey, you know what is the right thing, why are you not doing? So when we get some amount of knowledge about bhakti and we are cruising around and we are wasting time, so then we will be chastised for it. So when the knowledge comes, then the spiritual master will be stern. Hey, I gave you initiation, so what are you doing? Where are your regulative principles? Where is your chanting? Where is your studying of the scriptures? Why are you not taking it seriously? The spiritual master has a very stern kind of a voice, because we already know some basics and the qualification has been given to us, and if we don't take seriously, then chastisement comes. And the next level, when Vyasadeva speaks to Shukadeva Goswami is so renounced that he is more renounced than Vyasadeva, from the vision of the ladies who are bathing when when Vyasadeva runs behind Shukadeva Goswami, who was just born and he already left to the world. He is not even dressed. He has absolutely no bodily consumption. And by the statement of the ladies, they consider Shukadeva Goswami more renounced than Vyasadeva. So there is no qualification of hearer, like they both are qualified. That the flow is very natural. The Bhagavatam flows very natural between Vyasadeva and there is affection of being father and son. So when there is Sajatiya Sangha, when the speaker is also qualified, when the hearer is also qualified, and when the speaker has love for the listener, concern for the listener, and the listener also has respect for the speaker, then the message of Bhagavatam flows much smoothly. And the other pair of speaker and listener is Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. And this is one of the best pairs, because Shukadeva Goswami is so renounced and so advanced, and he is literally the parrot of Radharani. He is so absolutely spiritually advanced to speak Bhagavatam. And Parikshit Maharaj is also so very qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why in this last stage of example, Parikshit Maharaj's qualification is described a lot more than Shukadeva Goswami. Because here, Shukadeva Goswami is not going to speak anything less than, like, he's eventually going to go to the stage of Madhurya Rasa in just 7 days. So Parikshit Maharaj already is on a very high level. So that's why he could in 7 days go to the level of Madhurya Rasa. And Shukadev Maharaj Goswami could speak all that higher truths. And that is why Parikshit Maharaj's qualification is described a lot in Canto 1. From chapter 7 to chapter 18, the only all those chapters are indirectly speaking the glories of Parikshit Maharaj. From chapter 7 to chapter 18 is all glories of Parikshit Maharaj in one way or other. And we will see that when we go into the detailed summary of Canto 1. So this is the thematic summary of Canto 1, that Canto 1 provides the prelude and history of Bhagavatam, its supremacy over other Puranas, glories of Bhakti, and in elaborate, it gives the Adhikari Tattva. Okay, you are very interested in speaking Bhagavatam, you are very interested in hearing Bhagavatam, but what is the qualification required? What is the methodology for it? And it gives the background of Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, and it is also considered as a continuation of Mahabharata and conclusion of Mahabharata. So this is the thematic summary of Canto 1, and we are way over time. So we will do the Canto summary next week, the elaborate Canto 1 summary next week.